director's face. She knows that Meghan is full of BS. It's just everyone around her knows that she's full of BS. But if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm a licensed esthetician, okay? I love makeup, I love skin, I love all of it. All of it. This no makeup look, it's not working for her. I really, really wish she doesn't even look like she's wearing any kind of makeup. And that in of itself isn't necessarily a problem, but she's standing under really harsh lighting. I don't know, that's all I'm gonna say. And you're so paranoid, you're so worried that, you know, the press is out to get you and your wife. He really feels that they killed his mother and they feel like they're coming for him and they're coming for his wife. And he hasn't come to terms with the truth and the reality of what happened to his mom and the truth and reality of what's happening to him. Because it's like the calls are coming from inside the house, Harry. Your wife is one of the biggest fame whores around. That's all she cares about. Okay, so let's just get it out of the way. Harry and Meghan were at Sundance promoting their little film called Cookie Queens. First of all, they're at Sundance because Netflix probably opted out of this. So now they gotta go to Utah and they gotta promote this movie and they gotta find distributors, they gotta find more backing. They gotta sell this shtick, okay? And Meghan's gonna use little Girl Scouts to do it. So I'm gonna watch this little speech that she made. And it's unusual to have an executive producer be as visible as Meghan is being at this event. That usually it's the cast and the directors that are out the front-facing publicity and buzz for whatever project is being promoted. Not the executive producers. The executive producers are just the wallets. They probably came in at the 11th hour and gave more money to this project that they really probably didn't have much to do with it, if any kind of involvement. The only thing that she can kind of say ties her to this little project is that she herself was once a Girl Scout. And she's been throwing out these pictures now online in the last couple days of her as a brownie selling these cookies. Someone needs to tell Meghan that a brownie, although it's part of the Girl Scout program, a brownie isn't technically a Girl Scout. There's daisies, there's brownies, and then there's Girl Scouts. I was a brownie for a hot minute and I absolutely hated it. I hated it. As soon as I saw what was going to have to be happening with this whole cookie deal, going door to door, because back then in the 80s, that's what you had to do. You didn't have social media. You didn't have other ways to promote. A lot of brownies and daisies and Girl Scouts do this still. Like they will park their butts outside of grocery stores and just bleed out their eyeballs and plead with you to buy these cookies. But I mean, Girl Scout cookies were kind of a deal back in the day. But now, I mean, there's so much choice in the way of just everything now. It's not that big a deal anymore. It's really, really not. And my favorite when I was little was Samoa's. But you can even go to Walmart and get the Walmart Equate brand of the Samoas. I mean, what does a box of Girl Scout cookies even cost these days? I remember back in the day, it was crazy expensive. So anyway, she's just trying to tie herself to this project by saying, you know, that like she was a Girl Scout and that's why she's doing it. God forbid she just leave herself out of it entirely and just pick and back a project that has promise and has the potential to really resonate with an audience, something that has nothing to do with her, but she can't do that. She can't do that. So let's just watch her little speech here. She's being introduced. Here we go.
Of Sussex. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here bright and early. I know some of you probably had late nights last night, so extra thanks for the effort. Nothing that a little cookies and coffee can't help. Look, my husband and I and our 12 Productions, we are so proud and privileged to be able to support and uplift Cookie Queens. This film, yes, is probably the cutest at the festival, but I'm also going to go out on a limb and say it is one of the most powerful and meaningful depictions of something that is an American tradition and rooted in nostalgia, but is now put through this lens from the incredible creative vision of Alyssa to show something modernized about the girlhood experience and all the layers and complexity that come with it.
Take a sip. I don't know if I can watch this whole thing. As soon as she starts pulling out the lens, that's her favorite phrase of all time, looking at everything through the lens of. She starts busting out that, and I can't. I don't mean to be catty here. I really, really do not. But if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I'm a licensed esthetician, okay? I love makeup. I love skin. I love all of it. All of it. This no makeup look, it's not working for her. I really, really wish she doesn't even look like she's wearing any kind of makeup. And that in of itself isn't necessarily a problem, but she's standing under really harsh lighting. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. And the hair, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think she really likes to pull her hair back in these really, really tight ponytails, because when you have dirty hair, that's the easiest hairdo to pull off. Easiest. But okay. But I don't understand any of this. Hold on, just keep going.
That. So yes, it's cute. And yes, these young ladies are fantastic and adorable, but they are also layered, beautiful girls who are about to become very strong leaders and young women.
Why does everything have to be complex in this word salad of hers? The salad is so bad, I need some dressing. Okay. Why can't she just come out and say, hey y'all, I remember when I was a brownie, how awesome I felt when I won the little I mean, I don't know what she sold, but go with me. I remember when I was a brownie and it was so cool to fill up my order sheet. I remember what that was like when I was 9, 10, whatever. And it was so awesome to be able to show these little girls and their accomplishments and what they're feeling like they're learning. And, there's so much divisiveness in the world now, but to see young people coming together, just having fun, just keep it simple. But she's always got to talk about the legacy and the empowerment and the feminism and the layers. The only layers I want, give me a layer cake, a really yummy layer cake that I can eat if I'm going to watch this. It's just, I don't even want to keep going with it. It's boring. It's just drivel. It's awful. But this whole thing on the red carpet, like there's a picture I'm going to insert somewhere up here. Look at this director's face. She knows that Meghan is full of BS. It's just everyone around her knows that she's full of BS. And there's videos of Meghan on the red carpet being asked specific questions about, do you want Lily to be a Girl Scout? What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie? Like asking her stuff about her time in the Girl Scouts, supposedly, allegedly. Just because she wore a little brownie outfit, who knows how long she was in the brownies. I was in the brownies for literally like 2 weeks, and then I just went home and told my mom, this sucks, I don't want to do it. So maybe she did that. But if you're going to tell us you're a Girl Scout, Meghan, and you're going to sell this film to us from that angle, that this is such a special project that's so close to your heart because it harkens you back to your own treasured innocence of being a Girl Scout, then when people ask you a question about Girl Scouts on the red carpet, be ready and prepared to expand on your answers. You could tell she's very uncomfortable when they're talking about her own experiences with the Girl Scouts, and she was also really uncomfortable when they asked her specifically, do you want your daughter to become one? It's like she immediately punted back to the director and was like, oh, well, we've got a lady here that's a mom too. And I'm like, that's what doesn't ring true about this lady. Meghan, you do not ring true. You're not authentic. You're constantly trying to bring us in and trying to make us feel close to you because, oh, I'm a Girl Scout and like so many of you probably were too. And can't you relate? Okay, fine. Well, then let's have a conversation about whatever you want to talk about. Just like how when she goes on her podcast and she talks about what a life-threatening medical condition, she had preeclampsia. It was so awful, whatever. And then it's like a one sentence thing. And I'm like, are you serious? As someone who did have preeclampsia when I birthed my twins, 4 hours later, I was being treated for that condition. I almost died of that condition. Why don't you talk about it to the audience? Why don't you talk about the warning signs? Why don't you talk about what you went through? Why don't you talk about the aftermath? She doesn't give us anything. There's zero context. There's zero details because She's so shallow. I've stepped in deeper puddles. She wants the attention and she wants people to buy into this intimacy with her, but it's a false sense of intimacy because she doesn't give us anything. She just leaves us hanging. Just totally, totally boring. Like I said before, same old slop from her. Yeah, okay, whatever. So they're all going on about the privacy, because as you know, old Harold last week was in court, right? And I was just thinking about this whole Harry court thing, you guys, and I've come to the conclusion that this man is just a walking ball of rage. If you take a tennis ball and you cut it open, there's a bunch of tightly round wires inside there. It's like, oh, it's tight, right? That's what I think Harry is. I think Harry is just a walking ball of rage and entitlement, and it just was so on display last week when he was in that court. Can you imagine the judge had to put this man, this petulant man boy, in his place on 3 separate occasions, telling him basically, pipe down. You're not the lawyer. You're just answering questions. And he was combative, and he kept being combative to the judge in this case. I mean, what is wrong with you? Don't you even want even the semblance or, the facade of even a little bit of deference in front of a judge? I mean, do you want to win this, Harry? What is going on with you? But he has such rage and entitlement. He feels that he's really above everything, even a judge in a court of law. It's crazy to me. But unfortunately, I think he's going to win this case. I really do. And the case is supposed to conclude in late March, but the judge can take his time on a ruling. But I think he is going to win because he won 15 out of those 33 claims back in 2023 because the judge found, quote, widespread and habitual unlawful information gathering. And then just a year ago, he got an apology from Rupert Murdoch and substantial damages. I think it was up to 12 million, but we all know that's probably going to lawyers, right? And then in 2020, he won that libel case. And then don't forget his wife won her little case against the Daily Mail, even though she admitted to the court that she forgot that she had assisted Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand on their book Endgame, which I thought was absolutely disgusting that she won given that, but no one's asking me. But unfortunately, do I think that he's going to win? Yeah, I do. So how many articles are there total? 14 articles that are at the heart of his claims in this case. And they were published between 2001 and 2013. And a lot of it is around the way the press intruded on the lives of his ex-girlfriends. And for him to sit there in court and say that his friendships, his relationships were not a leaky ship, and there is no way on God's green that any information about him could have been leaked by his friends. He's really living in Delulu land. I mean, he really, really is. And not only that, but what about all of those leaked photos of him when he would party in Vegas and act a fool, like when he was naked playing pool and all that? It's like there are people around you that don't owe you privacy. That's how those pictures got taken and everything got leaked. I mean, he's violating his own privacy by acting like a fool like that in public. I mean, technically he has to prove that the information that was gathered in these articles more than likely came from unlawful sources. But, then the A&L is saying, well, no, they weren't obtained through unlawful sources. They were obtained through credible sources, i.e. people around him. That's why he was sitting in court so staunchly saying, it is not a leaky ship. Absolutely not. I fundamentally reject that. Well, of course he has to fundamentally reject it because that's pretty much the basis of A&L's case. But I don't know. I mean, there's also a very strong possibility to have an out-of-court settling with this. I mean, that might come up too. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I would really like to see him lose. I would really like to see him responsible for court fees and to pay the lawyers and all of that. That's what I would like to see happen. But do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. Probably not. I say that because this whole deal is also bundled up with these other high profile celebrities like Elizabeth Hurley, like Elton John. And yeah, the burden of proof is on him to show that there was unlawful information gathering in these articles in question. But there's also the fact that he's had these victories in the past. So the cumulative effect of that, his side can also argue that, this has been going on and here's proof of it because I've won these judgments. So that's the thing that's kind of not making me feel really good about this whole thing. I think the best arguments against this fool are just his own blatant hypocrisy. I think he's just pissed that it's not so much privacy and it's not so much what's being said, it's that he's not controlling it and he's not being able to monetize it himself. It's okay for him and his wife to make a 6-part documentary where they bitch and moan about their respective families, 6 hours ad nauseum. That's okay. That's not an invasion of privacy because they're able to monetize it. It's not an invasion of privacy for him to publish private text messages between his wife and the Princess of Wales, Catherine. That's not an invasion of privacy, nor is it an invasion of privacy for him to talk about the woman that he lost his virginity to in a field behind a bar. That's not an invasion of privacy. I don't think it's right for him to do that and, what he did in his book. But I mean, who's advising that lady? Why doesn't she have an attorney? I think that would be really, really great case to put forth. Why did you name me in your book? That's a violation of my privacy. Sue him for that. I don't know why she hasn't. Again, he can monetize his grievances. He can do all that. He can breach other people's privacy. That's fine. Even private conversations he had with his brother and his father, he can monetize all that in his book, but it's just how dare A&L, make his life and his wife's life a living commercialized hell. And it's like, no one's buying this garbage, Harry, okay? And another thing that really ticked me off about reading some of the stuff that, his defense team and him trying to argue in court, basically saying that the whole reason why he had to and was motivated to write Spare was because he had to set the record straight, because there were so many lies being written about him that his privacy was being violated over and over and over again. That's why he had to do this. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Why are you so fixated on repairing an image in the court of public opinion? I mean, back when he was popular, he was naked in Vegas acting a fool. He dressed up like a Nazi. He did a lot of really unsavory, horrible things. The palace helped him with his image, but he didn't really suffer for any of it. He was still a very popular member of the royal family. What he didn't like was his wife's crappy behavior and people talking about that and the petulant way that they left the family and the way that they were demanding and the way that they just basically thought that the world revolved around them. And they didn't like all the negativity surrounding the reporting of all those stories at the time. So that's where that's coming from. It got to the point where all of his bad behavior, it was like an avalanche of these negative stories. His bad behavior finally caught up with him. And it caught up to his wife too. He didn't like it. So he's going to go write a book, but he's going to posture and stand on his soapbox and tell us all that he had to do it because he had to set the record straight. Well, why don't you set the record straight now and into the future by just acting right? Why don't you act like a decent, moral human being? Get all your family members' names out of your mouth, shut up, and be dignified. You don't need to worry about repairing your reputation right now. You've done enough. Shut up. Back off and focus on what's important in life, repairing the damage that you've done. That's what these fools need to concentrate on. I just really feel like this man is so enraged, and the way that he works out his rage is through the court system. He is so litigious. He is just into these lawsuits, and that is the way that he really feels that he's going to rectify these wrongs. And he feels entitled to do so because he's telling us all the time that that's his aim, that's his goal, to right these wrongs in court. It's all being hidden under this blanket of, violation of privacy. But what he's really doing is he's acting out his personal private grievances against these negative stories out there and against his family and just the world, essentially. He's working out his rage and his aggression through the court system because he's a wimp and he can't really control his wife, and his brother and his father have essentially snuffed him out, as have the UK public and the American public. We've all sniffed this guy out. So the only thing he has left is to go and use the court system to right these wrongs and, set things straight in his mind. But the judge is going to have to determine if all this oversharing on the part of Harry justifies these alleged so-called unlawful ways that the media is getting these stories and getting this information. And I really do feel that the judge is going to agree with Harry that unlawful methods should never come into the equation. But the problem is that even though he's probably going to win this case, it's just going to piss off the public more. I mean, you think that he's unpopular now? If he ends up winning this court case, and not only that, if he ends up getting his security back, to know everything that Harry has done to sell out his family and throw them under the bus for money, to know that he'll win this case and also win all of his security back, and then the taxpayers are going to have to foot that bill, whew, it is not going to be good. It is not going to be good for him. Nope. He never really did recover from his mother's death. I mean, he talked about it in that book where he didn't even really come to terms with the fact that she was dead. Part of him thought that she was still alive. So there's already some mental stuff going on. There's some instability there. And you're so paranoid. You're so worried that, you know, the press is out to get you and your wife. He really feels that they killed his mother and they feel like they're coming for him and they're coming for his wife. And he hasn't come to terms with the truth and the reality of what happened to his mom and the truth and reality of what's happening to him. Because it's like the calls are coming from inside the house, Harry. Your wife is one of the biggest fame whores around. That's all she cares about. And the reason why she's so dangerous is because it's not just about the money for her, it's about the fame. And when you already have a ton of money and you're obsessed with the fame, that's when it gets into really dicey and scary territory because you'll do anything to get it. And that's exactly what Meghan has done. And he can't see that his wife intrudes his privacy and the privacy of their children every single day on the old Instagram. That's all she does. I mean, just that dance thing she was doing with her and Harry on the lawn, or showing Doria in the pool with their kid. You're basically showing people what the grounds of your palatial McMansion look like. Why would you do that? This, can you help me understand this? And it all comes back to him just being a scared, jealous little boy. He's so jealous of William and the happiness that William shares with Catherine, because he probably looks at what he's going through with his own wife. And in my humble opinion, they don't have that kind of relationship. And instead of being grateful for the position that he was born into, about all the wealth and privilege that has been afforded him, instead of being grateful for having the time with his mother that he did and celebrating her life and her legacy in a positive way, he's taken the exact opposite. And also another thing, crying in court the way that he did. I mean, he was apparently sniffing and tearing up in court and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, what a performance. Men in society nowadays are getting enough flack from all these toxic feminists as it is. Men are constantly under attack by these hyper-vigilant and scary women like Meghan. In my humble opinion, it's just a ruse, and he's using that fake emotion. I mean, men can't even really show emotion really as it is without getting torn up and beat up over it. So to have him just with the fake performance and the fake tears and all that, take it back to Hollywood, okay? Why don't you audition for something, Harry? Because that was a great little act you pulled there in court. Maybe you can get a starring role in something and make a little bit of success in movies or TV or something, because your wife can't really seem to make a go of it. Maybe you can. I mean, you cannot make this up. Seriously. I know I say that all the time, but you seriously cannot make this up.